Charlie, mate, how we doing? There was meant to be four of us. Lewis is late. Nina can't get a train. What's going on, man?
And then there was two.
And there was two. I saw you on the way here. I went to Sainsbury's. I had a piece of bread.
Yeah, mate, you were living a high life. Piece of bread and an apple.
Doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to go for the 50p one. Stick to the 40p. I don't know why. They're right next to each other. I don't know what the difference is, but yeah. Let's talk about the game, Charlie. Oh, before we talk about the game, we've got to give a massive shout out to Stocks FC. For those of you who don't know what Stocks FC is, it is the place where you can buy your favourite football players as stocks. So rather than investing in companies, which some people do, it's a little bit boring, you can invest in your favourite footballers, and if they do well, your stocks will pay off. You can make some money, and you can show off to your friends as well. So there's a QR code on screen as well as a link in the description. Check out Stocks FC. But yeah, Charlie, I mean, still haven't won for quite a few games in the Premier League. A draw against Palace, I probably predicted it, if I'm honest. I didn't think it would happen again against Bournemouth. I thought one team would just win it. But different opinions I've heard, mate. Most people saying it's 2 points dropped, but there are some people, optimists. And I'd say I'm an optimist as well, who can take some positives from that performance. But ultimately, there's more bad than good that you can take from it.
Yeah, I think, look, in the situation being 2-1 down with just minutes to go added time at the end, it is obviously in them circumstances, it's a point gained. Yeah. Of course it is, but in the overall picture, it's 100% 2 points dropped. You can't look at it any other way. There were definitely positives. I thought in the first half that was some of the best football we've played. I know after the game last night, opinion was slightly different, bit hot-headed coming out of the stadium, and maybe didn't give us as much credit as we perhaps deserved for the first half performance. We were really good. The goal's fantastic. Nicholas Jackson, brilliant in the build-up, and then Palmer. It's rude, to be honest. It is taking the piss. The guy sits him down with the keeper down with a fake shot, and then just strokes it in, mate. It's like he's playing in the playground back in the school days. But that's what he does, and it's a great start. And then, unfortunately, mate, it's an all too familiar story that we've seen for these past 5 games. We take the lead, and then we create so many chances. We're wasteful. We don't take them. And then, I don't know what's happened, but second halves over the last 5 games have been absolutely atrocious. It's almost like, it feels like we've reverted back to last season in a sense where you'd come out after half time and the performance level is just night and day from the first half to the second half. And I don't really know what's going on because we were so poor in that second half. We were clumsy giving the penalty away. Achimpong gets spun for that Semenyo goal to go 2-1 up. And second half, despite the chance we created in the first, there wasn't that many clear-cut chances in the second half. And obviously, Reece bails us out with a great free kick at the end. But there were definitely positives first half. But the same issues are still there. And the same issues are still there that have been there for quite a while. And the same issues are still there in terms of recruitment as well. You know, and right now, these last 5 games have shown that we're paying the price for not recruiting in areas that we've needed to recruit in for a number of years.
So you put it. So when we look at it, I mean, the big picture, I suppose you have to look at the recruitment because, I mean, they've been there longer than Maresca and a lot of these players as well. It's their decisions that have put us in the position to have whatever players we have available, irrespective of injuries and stuff like that. You know, you could say, well, we signed some great players like Lavia, but if Lavia's injured, who is there? If Reece James is out and you're not going to play Gusto as a normal fullback, what are you doing then? And then we look at Vega. He's been linked away. I don't think that's actually going to happen now. He doesn't want to leave on a permanent, but I can understand that thought. But I do think, I'm not going to say it's a lazy argument, but people have been giving us our recruitment a lot of credit. So for there to be such a big flip in such a short space of time,
I wouldn't say it was a big flip. What I would say is, though, like I've praised the recruitment because there's been a lot of good recruitment, but there's the same things we've needed for multiple windows that haven't been addressed. And I was critical of Maresca last night in terms of his substitutions. I'm sure we'll get onto and whatnot. But actually, having like slept on it and sort of approached it with a bit of a fresher mind, like I can't blame him for yesterday, other than the fact that the changes should have come earlier. Like the actual way that we played, the way that he set the team up and whatnot, mate. We created so many chances to win that game, and the manager cannot put the ball in the back of the net for the players. What are you supposed to do as a gaffer on the sideline when you see your team create multiple chances and miss after miss after miss after miss? It's not the first time. Last night, Crystal Palace, we created more than enough to win. Ipswich, we created more than enough to score multiple goals. We didn't score at all. Everton, we created loads of chances to win that game. Fulham, we had umpteen chances to win that game. So, yes, the manager has to take some responsibility, and obviously he has to do better, during these last 5 games. But for me, there's only so much blame you can put on the manager when actually we're creating so many chances, we're just not sticking them away. I'm concerned, by the way, because it's 3 points from the last 15 available, and we could find ourselves out of the top 4 if Newcastle beat Wolves tonight, which is probably going to happen. But I'm also of the trail of thought that actually it's not entirely his fault, because what are you supposed to do when your players are consistently missing chance after chance after chance?
Well, that's the thing as well. But then I have conversations with people outside the stadium, and this is another... You can see it from both sides. There's the side which we just said, and I'm probably leaning more towards that side of, well, hang on a second, it's not like what we've had, and you could blame Poch for this as well. We talk about systems and things like that. We have a better system than we had last season. We're creating more chances, even though you could argue the football's a little bit flat at times and slow. But what it is sustainable. That's the reason we do it, especially because this December, January period, you're going to have so many games coming thick and fast. This is actually a sustainable way of playing football. But on top of that, it's a good way of playing football because it clearly works. We got to the position where, me and... who else said it? No, not Lewis. Maybe it was just me, to be fair. I think Joey, actually. Joey said the title race.
But he might have been drunk when he was saying it, to be honest.
No, I think
it was a sober thought, was it?
I think he was generally, I think it was just one of his podcasts. But, I mean, I thought we were in a title race. I really did. And I still kind of stand by that, because at that moment in time, we were in a title race. Just like when I said Enzo Fernandez wasn't good enough for Chelsea, at that moment in time when I said it, I wasn't exactly wrong. He just improved dramatically. So in the long term, short term, things have looked very different. But, we have these big ups and we're having a big dip at the moment. I mean, it's getting worse and worse. The question is, when can we break that drought? Because one win changes everything. I think it just resets the team. But as it stands at the moment, I can appreciate that people are impatient. But I don't put it down to the manager. I also don't put it down to, Nicholas Jackson gets a lot of criticism as well. I think he had a great game, Charlie. I think he had a really good game.
It does irritate me that. Not going to, be offensive to anyone that has a different opinion, but it's just, for me, right, Nicholas Jackson is not the problem at Chelsea. The problem is not having an alternative. That is the biggest issue right now, is not having the alternative to Nicholas Jackson. I thought he had a good game last night. Name me another striker in the Premier League that does what he does for that first goal, setting up Cole Palmer, and does what he does when he picks the ball up himself and he goes on that run and he hits the post in the first half. Name me another striker in the league that can do that. There isn't one. There isn't one. So this idea that Nicholas Jackson's not a good player is utter nonsense. The problem we've got is that we haven't got an alternative for when we need to switch something up in a game or for when Jackson's not doing well. We've got wingers who aren't producing very much output, but put a lot of balls into the box. Your Madueke's, your Sancho's, your Neto's or whatever. They're good at putting balls into the box. But why? But we've got no one in the box to take advantage of the balls that we're putting into the box. So if you have someone of a different profile, like a Delap for an example, you put the balls into the box and you've got a much better chance of that happening. But we're struggling with no alternative. And when Jackson doesn't play well, or when Jackson, is missing chances, or when we just need an alternative option on the pitch,
Sorry,
then
guys, blame TFL. Fucking shit.
up the TFL. That's when you need an alternative option. You have to have an alternative option on the pitch, and that's not something new. And that is where you can blame the recruitment, because you're putting someone in a position that was playing 2 years ago, was playing in the third tier of Spanish football, and you're expecting him to lead the line and be some sort of polished, perfect striker for Chelsea. That just isn't the case, and it's unrealistic to think that. He's doing a very good job, but he's paying the price for having no competition in his place, and he's paying the price for neglecting bringing in another striker in the market. That's the problem.
The thing, though, we talk about the recruitment as well. If you actually look at our talent ID, whatever you want to call it, John Duran would have been perfect.
But they had worried. We could have done that deal, but I think they had issues about his attitude in the background.
No, it's because they were trying to do the you take a player, we take a player thing, and Gallagher didn't want to go.
But we did that in the end with Martin anyway.
No, that was a separate. Matson for Kellyman was one.
Yeah.
Gallagher for Duran was meant to be the other.
FFP, so that was all financial.
But what I would say is, though, on that, and look, I'm not sitting there and saying that I knew loads about Samuel Morodion, because I absolutely didn't. I wasn't that keen on a signing in the summer. But you look back now, which is a great thing to be able to do, the decision to pull the plug on that Samu deal and sign Joao Felix is looking like a really poor decision, because we didn't need someone like Joao Felix. We needed an alternative profile of striker, and the decision to pull the plug and sign Felix instead, it didn't make any sense at the time. It makes even less sense now, and it's looking very, very costly.
Apparently, the manager didn't even want him.
He didn't. You can tell he didn't want him. You can absolutely
he
tell.
doesn't even play him.
You can tell he doesn't. You can tell he doesn't want. He didn't want him. You know, the reports that have come out, and of course you can believe what you want to believe, and people choose to think what they want to think. But the end of the day is, right, even if you don't believe that the manager didn't want him, look at how he's being used, and that's your answer there to know that the manager is not really that keen on him.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought Joao Felix was an upgrade on what we had. Especially bringing in technical ability, and he can play in different positions. He never does, but he can. But Maresca's clearly not a fan.
Even Felix to me could be 9 depth for Jackson, because he ain't a 10 in my eyes. He ain't creative. He don't want to be creative.
He doesn't finish.
He's got no physical profile to be a 9.
I hear all of that. Like, there's been disappointing finishes from him as well, but it's like your profile and the way that you play is your shoot first. So if Jackson ain't cooking, use Felix. Use him as an option.
It was good when he come on last night, by the way. In fairness to him,
he had some nice patches. He won the free kick.
And I think he had a decent effort on goal. But again, it goes back to it. Like, the manager don't trust him, or there's clearly something he doesn't like about him, because there's no reason really why he's featuring so little in these games when we are struggling in attack. We're not creating much, or you need to freshen things up. People are getting tired or whatever. And to turn to someone with 10 minutes to go, it for me this is not a one-off thing. This is a regular occurrence. He either gets 10 minutes or he's an unused sub, and he starts the odd game here. Oh, we've played 21 games this season. I think he started.
Could say that for a whole bench.
Yeah, he started 3 games out of 21 in the league, or it might be 4. And he comes on for maybe 10, 15 minutes, absolute max. That to me that's the sign of a player that's not trusted by the manager.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to touch on a fan cam that I'm sure you've seen.
It was.
Mate, he had a go at you, didn't he? Before
this is the same guy who had all the who had no standards for Poch last season. He's coming back saying, "Where's the energy this season? Where was it last season?" I want to talk about keep the same energy when none of you show the same energy that you had from last season, and now you want to find your standards. Get in the bin. These men are wafflers. They're absolute wafflers. I get it. I agree as well.
Just give
the form that we've had in the
context.
last 5 games is not good enough. I understand that.
Yeah.
And I'm calling that shit out as well. For you lot to come out here and start talking about how things aren't in the right place and everything, when last season it was 1 victory, and trust the manager. Things need time. It's a process. Have the same energy, you fucking dickheads. But sorry, go on.
No, I mean, just to give everyone context, because not everyone would have watched that fan cam. It was Jacob was doing the fan cam, and then Steve started having a go at Father, and they started popping off at each other.
Yeah, going at Father for being Poch out was like, wrong guy. Friendly fire and all that.
Oh, it's funny. But I have quite a few people that messaged me, to be fair, and they really agreed with Steve, if I'm honest with you.
There was things I would have agreed with as well. It's just, where were you last season? What were you doing last season?
I mean, his thing was give a different manager the same players and sees what happens. So I think his philosophy is that Maresca got better players, but he doesn't think we're getting as much out of those players. I think that's part of what he's.
Yeah, but how can you? But what I can say is, right, you can look at all the metrics you want to look at, but the eye tests don't lie. How can you sit and watch us this season compared to last season and say that we're not better and say that we're not in a better position? It's just untrue to say that. It is just complete and utter nonsense to suggest that we are not playing better football, we are not better to watch, and we are not in a better position than we were last season. We absolutely are. Yeah, the last 5 games haven't been good, but this idea that, things were better last season, it's just... I don't know where people are getting that from. I've got absolutely no idea, because those same people that are saying that I can guarantee, were heavily critical of what they were watching last season. So then why are they now bringing up last season when we're going through our first difficult run of form? We're still 4th as it stands right now. We are still in a good position. Why are they bringing that up now? You can't sit here and tell me that there's anything worse this season than there was last season, because there simply isn't.
Has he been coming around all season after games?
No.
I think
so it's only been recently.
Just that one.
Yeah. Funny that. Funny that.
It was only after the last...
Maybe if we start winning, he'll disappear again.
I don't know. I mean, I saw him at Southampton away. He was very happy. So, he wants the team to do well. But yeah, I mean, that was just an interesting fan cam. So I thought it was interesting to touch upon. Nina said as well, after the fan cam, she reiterated her point that she made a long time ago. She's like, I've had it with Robert Sanchez.
We all know that, though.
Well, don't even get me started on that useless waste of time. But then that's also on Maresca, because he keeps playing him. Well, what does Jorgensen have to do to just get a run of games? Like, I get second goal isn't all on him, but the brother's positioning is a joke.
He's beaten near post, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you look at his positioning before it, you can tell Semenyo's going to the left, and he's just left the left-hand side all open for him.
But he did that similarly, a similar goal against Arsenal when Martinelli scored near post. Like, there's a pattern occurring where either it's his positioning, or I don't know if or his awareness or whatever, but as a goalkeeper, you should never be getting beaten at your near post.
He's just an idiot. Like, we had a perfect first half, and the only shot that we conceded came from Robert Sanchez and his usual bozo pass out the back. Why do we persist with this guy? He's a bum. We've seen it for 2 seasons. How many games do we have to go through this crap? How many points do we have to get to drop because of him? And I'm not saying the points that we dropped was solely because of Sanchez this game, but he's a constant problem, and he constantly plays. Constantly puts players under pressure, and usually leads to a bad moment and a goal conceded, where you take some responsibility or the majority of it. But he constantly plays. That comes down to the manager. I can't defend that.
Almost reminds me, this is a bit of a strange comparison, but remember when we had Bakayoko and he kept playing badly when I think that was the season
17-18.
Yeah.
But even then, our midfield options bar Kante was atrocious. That's why he was my player of the season by a mile. Like, the season that you have with the bums that you have around you, fair play. But every manager does captain save a hoe with somebody. Last season was Gallagher. The season before, you can just pick a player out of a hat. Even Tuchel, we were picking either between Kepa or Mendy between 2022 in general. There's always one dumb player that we have to stick with. But again, like, it's not even just all Sanchez for this one. The first half, Jackson, as much as I can praise every other asset of your game, what's happened to the goal scoring? What's happened?
No, but we talk about GA. I mean, he got an assist. He was very influential for that. So that doesn't happen without Jackson.
I agree. Like, he
hit the post as well. I
think he had a really... I agree. I don't think he had a bad all-round game, but he missed a lot of chances.
He did.
Cut and copy and paste from the Palace game. Jackson missed a lot of chances. We concede. We dropped 2 points.
Oh, you can't blame that on Jackson.
I'm not blaming it, but I'm saying you've got to start scoring again.
He was one of the best players on the pitch.
I agree. I completely agree. With that in mind, you have to be killing the game off.
Yeah.
And he's just lacking that killer instinct.
The big problem is, right, it's not just Jackson missing chances. It's a combination of him obviously missing chances, but then players that were contributing earlier in the season, they're now, the goals have dried up everywhere now. Like last 5 games, right, we've scored 4 goals. 3 from Cole Palmer and 1 free kick from Reece James. So going across 5 games, right, and 2 players have scored in them games. And it's Palmer, which was standard, and Reece with a free kick. So the bigger issue for me is, right, obviously Jackson missing chances is a problem, of course it is. But why is the output from the likes of Sancho, Madueke, Neto, etc., why is the output from these guys completely dried up? Now, I'm not saying that, you know, Neto is not a goal-scoring winger. We know that. Look at his record at Wolves. He wasn't particularly known for scoring goals. He was more of a creative player. But the problem is, though, when you sign for Chelsea, there's an expectation that you do chip in with some goals and you contribute. Madueke has had a good season, but his output has dropped off. Sancho has been good for us, but again, the output is not there. We need more from him. We need more from everyone across the board. And there's been a collective drop-off. You know, obviously Jackson's missing chances stopped scoring, but it's also coincided with, other than Palmer, the rest of the attack is stopped contributing as well. So it's not just the Nicholas Jackson issue. I think it's an attack issue in general where everyone's output has just dropped off.
There's also a team issue as well because, like, we're starting to do this thing of, like, just blowing our load in the first half and playing a sensational, high-energy brand of football, and then we just cannot maintain it in the second half. Either that or the opposition tweaks their game plan and we don't really have a response to it, and then the substitutions are late and then they don't have impact in the game either.
Bournemouth weren't even that good in the first half. I'll be honest, they weren't. Obviously, as you mentioned, they had the one chance through the Sanchez error, but other than that, all right, they kept things tight on that, but they didn't really offer a serious threat.
Yeah, that first half was one of the best first halves we've had this season.
That's what Maresca said it himself. He described it as one of the best moments of the season. But then we come out second half, and Bournemouth, they're like popping it about, and they looking like the team that had just had an unbelievable first half, and you know they look like the home side and whatnot. And I don't know what it is, but it's like, because it's only something that's come in the last 5 games. Because at the beginning of the season, we were exceptional in second halves. We were coming out, we were scoring a lot of goals early on in the second half. We were playing really well. But ever since the Everton game, in this 5-game run that we're on with no wins, our second half performances and the drop-off in the second half has been alarming. And I don't know what the reason for that is.
See, I actually totally disagree with the idea that we don't score enough goals.
We're not scoring enough goals, though.
It's not true.
Right now, we're not.
We're scoring enough goals. We just don't. We concede too
Mate,
much.
one goal's not enough to win a game for us.
But we scored 2.
Over the season, we've scored enough.
We've scored more than enough goals. We just don't keep any clean sheets.
Recently, has dried up. I think it's 85 shots in 4 goals?
I mean, 4 goals in 5 games is not good enough.
If we don't concede a silly penalty...
Yeah, but it's all ifs and buts, though.
But it's not. Don't concede the fucking penalty. Just like you say to Jackson,
just on penalties, by the way.
Score the fucking goal.
Just on penalties, by the way. We've conceded the second most amount of penalties in the league behind Wolves.
Is it?
Yeah, why are we conceding so many penalties? And you look, obviously, the lap one against Ipswich is a poor decision.
Individual mistakes.
But we're making individual mistakes. It's sloppy. I mean, I was down the other end last night. I couldn't really see. I watched the penalty back. But what was it? Was it Caicedo and Lavia that bashed them over?
Lavia turns over possession, and Caicedo's the one that gives the foul away. It's pretty rash from him.
Oh, it was Caicedo, was it? Sorry.
The penalty.
We just pushed him over, kind of.
Yeah, but like it was silly. You didn't need to do that.
But this is the thing. I mean, and you say don't make the silly mistake. I mean, I actually don't think I don't blame the defence too much for the second goal.
Did Acheampong get spun for that?
No,
he got done.
No, but he was on his weak foot. He smashed it.
Look, I get he's inexperienced
his
as well,
keeper's
but
near
we'll call
post. It's difficult.
Spade, he got done.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think he should have been subbed off either after that.
It was weird. It was weird that, wasn't it? Like I don't understand. I said to you after the game, right? Because I actually thought Acheampong had a pretty decent game. I didn't think he was that bad. Okay, yeah, he gets turned for the goal, but he's 18 years old, starting his second Premier League game not in his preferred position. Like, if you're making a change at centre back, right, you're either doing that because someone's injured or someone's having an absolute nightmare out there. And it was neither of those things. And I didn't really understand what the need for that change at centre back was, because Acheampong wasn't having a bad game.
And I know Tosin had like 1 block at the end of the match, but he was so shaky when he came on too.
Well, he did have that shot. He forced a good save from a corner.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think there was one from like a header or something.
I mean, maybe that was
in
part
possession
of the reason
though. They were pressing the hell out of him.
Well, he's probably the best player to press.
Well, he's slow on the ball, isn't he? That's the thing.
Yeah, like I still don't get centre back for centre back at 2-1 down.
No,
That's silly.
we said that after, and I agree with that. I don't fully understand why, but maybe it was something to do with his height
for a
or
set piece.
pieces.
But that's something you do with like maybe 10 minutes to go. You don't generally do that. Like as soon as you go 2-1 down, your first thought is not really to go centre back for centre back. So
on attacking subs.
But I mean, irrespective of that, I do think that if we just start making less mistakes, we'll win games playing exactly how we're playing.
But if only if it was that simple.
Yeah, but it is, and for me, I would prioritise a defender over a striker. I probably would.
No, we need both.
I agree with you. I mean, I think that there's some good options out there. I don't know.
The way things are looking like with our transfer activity, we might need another midfielder too.
But you know what's mad,
we
though?
should recall
him and Santos personally, but like they're not going to do Santos.
Both of them back.
I'll bring Santos before Ugo Chukwu.
You should be.
I don't think they're going to.
No.
I think for the sake of Strasbourg, making sure they still have a good season.
I'm being selfish. Like, I just want him back.
Yeah.
But like for me, right, you look at it, and I said this to you yesterday. We've spent so much money, and how can it be that we still need a striker, we still need a centre back, we still need a top goalkeeper, and arguably we might need another midfield player. So how can we have spent all this money and signed all these players and still essentially need the spine of a team?
It's pathetic.
I don't understand that. And look, some of the recruitment has been very good and we've praised it. But that, for me, is inexcusable to spend that much money and still lack the spine of a team. How many years have we needed a striker for? 2, 3, 4.
2 seasons straight where we've had one striker. We have 10 goalkeepers and they're all crap. Fofana is like the only completely reliable centre-back.
Oh, he's not reliable. He's the least reliable. He's never fucking fit.
I mean, in terms of ability. Availability, I completely agree.
I'll take Tosin over.
But again,
Fofana,
this is the thing. Like, this is our most reliable centre-back, and we're like rolling a dice hoping that he's fit.
But this is the problem, though. Like I've said this so many times before, is that decisions in the summer, when you're making recruitment decisions, gambling on Fofana, Reece James and Lavia staying fit, 3 players who have shown they cannot stay fit for the duration of a season, when you're making recruitment decisions based on those guys being available, no wonder you're ending up in trouble. You know, yes, Fofana come back from his ACL injury last season. You can't rely on him. I think we're in a position now where we have to just pretend that we don't have these guys. And then when they're available, it's a bonus. Like, we downgraded defensively over the summer. Thiago Silva left. Yes, Fofana come back. Chalobah's better than Disasi. And Tosin's come in to take Silva's place in the squad in terms of numbers. So actually, we are worse off.
Such a crazy sentence.
We're worse off defensively this season than we were last season. How is that possible that we have downgraded defensively from last season?
Yeah, I mean, I'll look at it more long term. I look at it from the end of the season and see where we're at. If we finish in the Champions League, I'm not going to complain. The question is, can we even get there because of the problems that we're looking like a problem with a striker and a centre back?
I think now, I don't know what you boys think, but for me now, I look at it, and if we don't sign a centre back and if we don't sign a striker this window, I think we're at a point where if we don't bring anyone in, I would say we're throwing our Champions League hopes away. You are taking a massive, massive gamble on Champions League football next season. You talk about you might not want to spend, like, you might be haggling over 10 million on Mark Guehi, for example, or weighing up whether you should go for Delap, or you might save 10 million on him if you sign him in the summer. If you have to pay a little bit over the odds to get those players in, the money you're going to make back from that by qualifying for the Champions League is going to cover off that extra money you might have had to spend to get them in January. I just think now, if you can't see that we need those players and you're not going to go and do anything in January, then you're basically accepting that you're not really that fussed about getting Champions League football next season. We have to act now. It's obvious what we need, and if we don't go and address it in the window, then we might not be playing Champions League football for the third year running.
We need to make sales just to even get a centre back in.
Yeah, we need to get rid of players as well.
Well, I mean, there's no point of keeping players like Disasi and Dewsbury Hall.
I mean, you got to find a club for them. Juve was interested, and then they just said no.
But it won't be a problem. I don't
think
it will.
Mate, it will be a problem.
Looks like it's a problem.
Mate, there's no ridiculous wages.
But that's not about the wages, though.
It's not about that. It's about getting a club that even wants them.
Yeah, this is the problem. No, like, people talking about get rid of Ben Chilwell. No one wants Ben Chilwell.
Yeah, he's on wages we can't get
like
rid of.
180, 90k a week or whatever. But even for a loan deal, no, we're 2 weeks into the window now. No one wants him. Dewsbury Hall, we want to get rid of him. No one seemingly wants him.
Chukwuemeka, I think we're just going to have
30 million.
Yeah, we're just going to do a paid loan for Chukwuemeka by the looks of it, which I think is the best thing.
Well, it is. I agree. But we're having to change our stance now because we are setting unrealistic asking prices and unrealistic,
See, man says 65 million for Nkunku.
No, it's nonsense. You're never getting that. Like, how?
I don't think that's a terrible. That's not a bad deal.
Let me explain why.
I don't think that's a bad deal.
But let me explain why.
If you can get 65 million for him, fair.
It's fair. No, but let me explain. The guy is still a top.
But I think his stock would have dropped over the last season and a half.
Please tell me, right, how signing Nkunku for 52 million, right? And given what he's done at Chelsea, how does that warrant his value increasing by 13 mil? Please tell me.
I'm not saying his value increases, but I could say you could justify. I could justify if I was a PSG fan. I would be more than happy with that because he's still scoring lots of goals.
Bayern Munich aren't spending. No one's spending 65 million on Nkunku this year.
I'll run the Conference League prop too. I don't blame you.
These clubs aren't stupid though. No, they're not stupid.
You're playing fucking Turkey. Victor Osimhen, he's scoring goals out there. Everyone, you still pay 80 million for him, wouldn't you?
You wouldn't anymore, I don't think.
I think a lot of clubs would, but
I would still. But this is our pure desperation.
But this is the point though. Like you look at an asking price for Nkunku.
A top player is a top player.
I get
no matter where they play.
But I just think his stock would have dropped to a point where you can't afford that. Now, if you can get that money, fair play. You've done it before.
But I think, right. If I'm being honest, right. If you can get your money back on Nkunku, if you can get 52 million for Nkunku, I think that's a very good deal to make your money back. I think that is a very, very good result if we do that. But again, it just. I don't know, like, yeah, we've got to get rid of players. Yes, we've got assets that people will want, but the issue is, I think now we're going to have to accept that because these guys haven't played a lot of football, it's known that a number of these players want out. That weakens your negotiating position. Is there a transfer bomber?
Chelsea activate option to recall Chalobah loan.
Yeah.
Do they?
Hey, let's sing it, boys. Ready?
I am not singing
Charlie.
He's back.
I'm coming on your side, Charlie.
Oh no! Surely, Trev's back. Welcome home, Trev.
Lift the mic up.
Lift the mic up. Oh fuck! Oh no, mate! Absolutely fucked it.
Hang on. Ready?
Oh no! Yeah, we're good.
I need the mic in the middle.
Get a mic in the middle.
Well, there's that sentence.
All right, Lewis, you join in. You join in.
I am not joining.
Ready?
I'm just standing at the bar with Trevor Chalobah. I'm just standing at the bar with Trevor Chalobah.
Where are you standing, Charlie?
At the fucking bar with Trev. Crazy. That's what I'm doing. At the bar with Trev. Get those beers on ice, Trev.
Oh, man, that's beautiful. I might have to
Mental.
buy another apple to celebrate.
What a time to be alive. And that means that...
That's a hilarious turnaround, bud.
That means... But you know what that means, right?
We booted him out at the first team.
What I want to say is, right, it's brilliant. From a Chelsea perspective, it is.
We look stupid,
sometimes you got to swallow pride, right? But how embarrassing is it, right? Where you spent 2 years trying to force this guy out of the club. You left him out of the pre-season tour for no reason. You made him go and train on his own, and now 6 months later, you're going crying back to him because you need help. It is the peak of embarrassment for Chelsea and those sporting directors. It is peak embarrassment. And then what are you going to do? Bring him back for 6 months. He helps you out. Get to the summer. Oh, by the way, you can fuck off now. It is so embarrassing to be in that situation.
The crazy thing that I find is the fact that he's open to even coming back.
I don't know how much say he's even got in coming back.
To him because
Mate, do you think he's got much say in coming back, by the way? If Chelsea say come back, I don't think you can say no, can you? Or can you say no? How much say has he really got in coming back?
I don't think he's got too much, to be honest.
He should have a say.
I don't think
as in, like, they could bring him back if they wanted to, but it's up to them whether he has to say or not, or whether it even means anything.
But what I'm going to say is,
because if I was Chalobah, I mean, I'd be more than entitled to say, fuck you.
But what I'm saying,
I'm not fucking leaving.
I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame you at all.
But what I would say, though, is, like, we brought him back, right? But it makes no sense if you bring him back and you just sit him on the bench. You bring him back to play. So... what we're saying, I think we can all agree here that Chalobah has come back and he goes straight into the starting lineup.
He's
better than Tosin.
He's better than Fofana. He's better than Disasi.
Disasi's
I think he's more available than Fofana.
He's more available than Fofana.
That makes him better.
But what I'm saying is, like,
He's
right
better.
now, with the players available, Achimpong, I think, is a great talent. He's not ready to play centre-back on a regular basis. So right now, with everyone that's available, Chalobah goes straight into that starting lineup, and I expect him to start on Monday night against Wolves.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not against that deal.
Really
From a footballing perspective, I think it makes perfect sense.
From a financial perspective, it makes sense. I reckon they've probably explored the Gerhi deal, think it's too much money for this window.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. I didn't really want Gerhi like that anyway.
And then maybe it gives us an option in the summer to go, and there might be more centre-backs available, prices might be different or whatever. So it's a cost-effective option. It's someone that knows the Premier League, knows the club. It does make sense. It's just highly embarrassing on our behalf.
Yeah, I mean, I love Chalobah. I think he's an absolutely fantastic player. And you look at the versatility as well. He has played in multiple positions. He can play in a back four. He can play in a back three. He has played as a right back as well. So, yeah, not that he will in this system, but it's good to know we've got a good player back in our ranks, a reliable player, a real Chelsea player. A guy who actually played in this team and won some trophies.
And it'll work really well in a back three off the ball.
Absolutely.
Chalobah, Colwell, Cucurella in a back three out of possession. That's going to work very, very well. Or in possession or whatever. But you know, that's going to work well. If someone inverts into midfield, let's say Gusto plays right back, inverts into midfield, that back three of Chalobah, Cucurella and Colwell, that's perfect. Chalobah can play.
That should be much better for us.
That'll be much better for us. And there's going to be people that are like, oh, I don't like Chalobah. Oh, he's shit. He's this. He's that. If we're being brutally honest with the prices and the market as it is, this is as good a decision as any, really.
Yeah, well, we're not breaking the bank to sign him. I'm not against it personally. It wasn't my first choice, but I'm okay with it.
It's the obvious choice.
I would have if you were looking at signing another centre back. I would have been in favour of bringing Tamori. I would have been in favour of bringing Diamande. And I would have been in favour of bringing Mark Gerhi as well.
But I hear the rest.
Yeah.
But I like Chalobah as well.
Got pretty rapid as well, yeah.
But do you know what, mate, do you think that, I know it's obviously a bit far ahead now, but do you still think he's finished at Chelsea in the summer? They'll just they'll just sell him in the summer?
Yeah, they're going to get rid of him anyway.
It's just the whole thing's so mad when you've spent so long trying to get rid of this guy. You then go crying back because you need him. And then he's probably going to help you out for 6 months. He might help us get in the top 4. And then you're just going to tell him to fuck off again. It's mental, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's move on to another player that has been spoken about in recent days, which is Noni Madueke. I personally don't have a problem with Madueke. I know people talk about his attitude and all that. I do think it's taken out of proportion. The guy obviously has a few off days. He's not fucking Balotelli. We're not working with a player like that. But at the same time, you want players who have that sort of Aspilicueta-like commitment. Everyone wants that at their team. A lot of fans they lost patience with him yesterday. They said he's tracking back, but he's not doing enough at the final end of the pitch. He did create one chance for Jackson, which you would argue Jackson should have scored. I think that was in the first half.
Target. That was the worst of a lot.
But I think he's creating. He's able to get past the player and whip a ball in, but you're not getting players on the end of it. But there's no real goal threat at the moment.
I didn't really see too much of him bar that chance because I thought a lot of our play was coming down off the left-hand side. Now, defensively, I don't think he was too bad. Going forward, I've understood the critics a lot for him this season. Honestly, just think long-term, he's one of those players that's going to be gone anyway. We've got a whole Esteval coming in the summer. Expect him to be the one that goes in replacement, personally. But, yeah, like he wouldn't have been my main focus coming out of that game. I would have looked at the finishing and I would have looked at the game management because, again, it's another second half that we don't turn up in.
I think with Madueke as well, I look at last season and I do think that Pochettino... Eventually, he got a handle on things with Madueke, and I think the performance has improved. But he's never really been given a chance, especially last season. But this year, Maresca's given him
a lot of games this year.
No, that's what I mean. This season, he's been given a real opportunity. But I don't think he's taken it. If I'm totally honest, you could justify selling him now.
I slightly disagree on that. I'll explain.
Remember, we had that bid before from Newcastle,
but let me explain why.
Rejected, and then he fucking goes and scores all those goals.
No, but let me explain why though. I think a lot. It goes back to like having an alternative striker. I think we'd be getting a lot more output from our wingers if we had a box presence in the centre forward. Because look how many crosses they put into the box and there's no one there. That's not Jackson's forte, getting in the box, being physical, headers, getting on knockdowns, all that sort of shit. If we had, for example, a Delap who fits that profile, and we're putting the balls into the box with Madueke, with Sancho, with Neto or whatever, their numbers will probably look better because Delap will put a lot of those crosses
Especially
away.
Neto.
Yeah, this is my point, right? People can look at like numbers from our wingers and think they're not that good, but if you have a different profile of striker in the box, then they will have far more assists because Delap, as an example, is going to get on the end of a lot more of those chances. So our wingers, right, their strength is like taking players on, putting balls into the box, but we don't have a focal point or a presence in the box to take advantage of that. So that, for me, is part of the reason why our wingers are looking like they're struggling.
Yeah, I do think a box striker would definitely be useful. Again, I go back to some of the players we were linked with. John Duran, I would absolutely go back from, but I think they want 70 million.
They want 100 million, mate. It's a joke.
100?
Well,
I heard it was 72.
Mate, they're not selling him this window. No chance.
Well, I heard Emery coming out and saying he wants Ollie Watkins to play until he's 40 years old for Aston Villa. And I was like, it's probably not going to happen.
Got the legs for that.
But no, they obviously want to keep him. I do think Madueke, I'm happy to give him a little bit more time. But I agree with a lot of fans that are losing patience. But you have to remember as well, this is a player who didn't really track back, didn't do the defensive work.
He works
and
hard for a team.
He's adapted that part of his game. And because of that, I think you're seeing less output than before. But that gap needs to close.
Can we really say that any of our wingers are producing output? Not really.
I would say Sancho is.
But if you look at if you're looking at it on a stats perspective, right? All the wingers have got a pretty similar level of output. I think Madueke and Sancho's output is pretty similar in terms of numbers. Neto's numbers are probably the worst out of the lot. I mean, forget Mudryk because he's out of the picture right now. But out of Sancho, Madueke, and Neto's numbers are probably the worst. But that doesn't mean that he's the worst winger.
But you could argue in a lot of the games he's played, and I could say the same for Sancho as well. Him and Sancho have been players that even if they don't score, they play really well and they contribute well.
Of course.
Especially Sancho on that one.
Sancho was good last night, by the way. He was direct. He was taking players on. He was a threat. But again, this is what I mean. Like in terms of people being in terms of numbers and people being sort of dictated to by numbers. If you've got if you're scoring goals and you're finishing chances, some of those wingers' numbers are going to be so much better. Think about the amount of chances that have been missed recently, right? Even if 3 or 4 of those go in, look how much better someone's winger numbers might be and how different the conversation would then be around the Madueke, for example, or around the Sancho or around the Neto if some of those chances have gone in. So these wingers are creating chances. It's just they're not being finished. So it slightly skews the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, Madueke would be one player that I could accept him leaving, to be fair. I mean, if we got anything, do we think
this is his last season, by the way, Madueke?
I'd assume so.
But even with the Mudryk ban, if he gets done,
it would make sense having Esteval coming in, and we've got Kendry Pires as well.
Going to go Strasbourg for
He'll go straight on.
Oh yeah.
So you're going to have Sancho, Neto, Esteval, and
then you got Madueke and Mudryk still. Madueke or Mudryk, one of them's leaving, but Mudryk might not have a choice.
I would rather keep Mudryk, if I'm honest, out of the two of them. If Mudryk is available, because he offers something totally different.
Do you know what's weird, right? And I know Mudryk's not been... And I know he's not...
I would need to see league minutes, innit?
Yeah, and I know he's not been great, Mudryk, since he's come, right? But before what's happened has happened, he was showing signs of improvement. And I'm not necessarily saying him personally, but him not being available, I actually just think we've missed that kind of profile of player. I know we've not had an awful lot in the Prem, but you were seeing when he was coming on in the league, he was making a bit of a difference. Against Forest, he made a difference. In certain games, he was coming on and making a difference. And I'm not saying we missed the player, but I think we missed having that option, having that profile of winger just to bring on, because he is something totally different. And not having that, your changes are you're bringing on one of Madueke, Sancho, or Neto, or you're bringing on Felix. And so with Mudryk, I just think you're missing that kind of unpredictability factor where you actually got no idea what this guy's going to do. He could do absolutely nothing, or he could just pull out something absolutely ridiculous.
Do you remember those cameos against United and Arsenal, though?
They weren't great, no.
They were terrible.
They weren't
I'll be
great.
real, he was getting better, but the Conference League was just fine. Literally just leave him there for the season.
But do you know what I mean?
No, that's not even
But in terms of a profile, though, in terms of
I like the profile.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So we're missing something.
His execution's always been the issue.
Oh, I agree, but my point is maybe not him himself, but I mean just having that profile of winger on the bench to switch things up. Missing that is maybe actually having a bigger impact than maybe a lot of people think.
Maybe in terms of the option, but that's in terms of the option, another thing that we need to go in the market for then.
Yeah.
But if anything, I want like another goal scoring threat either up top or on the wings. That's why I didn't mind like the Tell interest and everything. But it'll give me that directness from both sides.
But with Tell, right, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm a Matthias Tell expert, but the guy's 19, right? He's not playing an awful lot of Bayern because he's second fiddle to Harry Kane. It's understandable. He's, by all accounts, he's a top talent. But all I would say is, right, he's someone that can play through the middle, someone that can play. I think he's predominantly more a left-sided player that can play through the middle. My only thing would be, right, you've got Jackson, who's 23, who's still developing. You've got Mark Guiu, who's 18, who's raw as anything. And then Tell might be great, and he's got a lot of ability, and he could develop into a top player. Is the answer to our problems this month signing a 19-year-old with very little experience? Is that the right thing to do?
Yeah, it's just an idea thing, which is why I get you. I don't
hate the idea, but I'm just thinking, like, is the answer to our issues
you want an experienced
throwing another 19-year-old into the mix?
No, I get you. Want an experienced head. Like, I'm with you as well. We've got the youth base now. Like, we don't need more youth.
No.
Even the likes of Esteval Sanchez, can't bring them in. I'm fine with that. But, like, yo, we need some experience.
We need someone, yeah.
Would you rather, though, spend, let's just say, 80 million on an Osimhen, on a Gyökeres, or would you rather spend 40 million twice on a Delap and what's his name?
What, Guerhu?
And Tell or whatever his name, or someone like that?
If it was Delap,
would you rather take, because they're good players, but you don't know if you're going to get that Chelsea level straight away, but you do know with an Osimhen he is of that caliber.
But do we know? But we don't know if he's going to do it either.
With the wages, you run the risk of potentially having an expensive flop. So when we look at the recruitment, and I've spoken about John Duran like 3 times. I look at a player like that and I think, bloody hell, that was a really smart move. And you mentioned Omaridian as well. I'd be all right with that at the moment. So although we can go and get ready-made players, and I'm totally with you on that. I mean, we need experience with these young players, but that's just not the route that this group want to take. I think that they've been given very clear instructions. You go out and buy players, but if they're not young and if they don't fit our wage structure, it's not going to happen. So we don't even...
The wage structure stuff, I understand as well. Like, even in terms of Duran, I get it, because I wouldn't be against bringing in Duran, and I wanted to at least see it out in the summer too. But it's like, even if you're going to do that, there has to be some experience you can turn to in situations like Bournemouth when you concede a goal. Games like Palace when you end up dropping the lead.
Part of me just thinks that when they talk about a long-term project, and they say it all the time, I generally think that's all they care about is, are we improving a little bit are we getting closer to where we need to be? Whereas other fans are saying, we need to be there right now. We need to be there now. But and that's where this experience debate comes in.
But I think it's so obvious, right? The last 5 games have shown us that we already knew this, but the last 5 games have highlighted a lack of experience, a lack of know-how in the team, a lack of being able to see games through. Like, if you have a Thiago Silva at the back this season, if you have, some more experience in the midfield or whatever, then I think we're seeing out a lot more games than we have done this season. And that's where, in the moments in games where the tide's turning, moments in games where you're up against it, you might have the lead in that's where the experience and the know-how to win games is so important. And this last 5 games has shown us that this team doesn't know how to see games out. This team hasn't got what it takes to withstand pressure from opposition, and that's to be expected. Like, that shouldn't be a surprise given how young and inexperienced this team still is. But if I'm in a recruitment position at Chelsea, how can I sit and watch what's happening and overlook bringing in some experience? That doesn't mean signing a 30-year-old, but that might mean let's go and sign a 25, 26, 27-year-old or whatever who's been there, done that, has got the CV, and can come in and help us out for 2 or 3 seasons and make a big difference to the team. Why would you want to choose an inexperienced 19-year-old over signing someone that's been there and done it? That for me is where I'm slightly out with this recruitment process.
No, I think it's totally fair. The way I see it, from I'm trying to look through the lens of the ownership and the whole sporting group, is they're signing all these young players, and eventually, however many years, Jackson's going to be 30, and we will have more experience naturally integrated rather than bringing it in fresh. And I just think that that's the way they want to build it. Just with the young players coming in and then growing with the team rather than coming in.
Then
I
don't mind that because
I think that's what's going to happen.
I get that. It's just you need something. Even last season you had a Thiago Silva in there. Just give me an experienced head there who's actually done something. Not like, all due respect to Tosin. Because, he's got experience, but
it's mad, though, isn't it, that he's come in and he's already called Unk.
When Charlie said earlier, right, that we swapped Silva for Tosin, I was just deep in. I was like, raw.
It wasn't like a like-for-like swap, but in terms of places in the squad, it was, wasn't it? It was,
like, damn. Now we're bringing Chalobah back, which is cool. Now we got a little bit more experience about that. And to be honest, that is a lot more relieving in that case as well, because he is better than a Disasi. He can actually defend those wide areas. But you need that within the squad. Yeah. I'm not saying completely rip everything up and go get me a bunch of 25 to 27-year-olds again. Just a few experienced heads in there. Because games like Ipswich, you need that. Games like the Bournemouth match yesterday, you need that. And I think that's something that we've neglected a little bit. Not just looking at all the other areas, like the second striker option that we've needed for 2 years and we haven't looked at. Not the midfield depth that we're literally getting rid of by this month. And we don't look like we're addressing. And all of these things, they are red flags that are just picking up. And it's like, what's the idea for the rest of the season? You've got 15 days. You need to act up. We need a striker now. Go get one.
Yeah.
I like Jackson. He's going to be a great player for us. I think he's still got levels to improve for us. But you need another striker with that box presence.
Would you be happy with Delap this month if we signed him?
Very happy. How could you not be happy with that?
I'll take Delap, but I've only seen him 4 months.
Yeah,
he would be great.
Yeah, I'm not going to say beggars can't be choosers.
But it's a great alternative to Jackson. But I mean, in a dream world, I'll be honest, I'd love to see him play together. I mean, how nice would that?
So for me, it'd be like, look, if we could just wheel in Duran right now, go do it. Because he's gonna give me that. He's gonna give me a different profile to Jackson, which is what I want.
What do you think about Jackson on the left, by the way? Like, I don't mean all the time, but if you signed a Delap, right? Let's say you played Delap through the middle.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. As an alternative on the left, do we think Jackson could be good on the left as well?
No problem.
It won't happen.
Give us a direct option down with it.
He would do
I don't mean like an out. I don't mean an out-and-out left winger as such, but like just playing as like a left forward drifting in. Like I think he can do that as well. Yeah.
I'm with you.
Did you go to Villa away last season?
No.
Did you go, Charlie?
Which one? FA Cup or League? 2-2 League.
Well, he played on the wing, didn't he?
Is that the one where the Sassy scored last minute, but it was ruled out?
That was when...
Yeah, when we went 2-0 down and Poch switched Cucurella into midfield, and then that was the start of the Cucurella redemption.
Yeah. Oh, he actually scored the winner as well, but yes.
Yeah, it was that game, was it?
Yeah, that was when Badia Shield pushed one of the Villa players. I remember that well.
Yeah, pissed. By the way, just mentioning referees, I don't want to turn into an Arsenal fan and start blaming the refs why we didn't win yesterday. The refereeing yesterday was on a level
disgusting
that even by the piss poor standards on the floor in the gutter of this refereeing in this country, this was a new low. I cannot believe how bad the referee was yesterday. Mate, I watched that back, right? Cucurella basically gets clotheslined. He gets sent to the monitor. The referee is recommended to give a red card. The geezer's got his hands around Cucurella's throat, and the ref's recommended to give a red. It's the first time this season that a referee has been sent to the monitor and is not listened to the recommendation. Yep. He said it wasn't like violent intent or something. And I'm like, he described it as reckless but not violent. It's like, what part of putting your hands around someone's throat is not violent?
It's all about technical BS.
But the ref, but I'm not blaming the refs for yesterday, but the refereeing was absolutely shocking. I can't remember the guy's name, but it was so poor.
It's utter woke nonsense.
It was awful. It was awful though. Like, it was terrible.
Yeah, like, not even just that. There was 2 other penalty calls that we could have got. I think even the free kick that we got for James, there was shirt pulling on Jackson that could have been called instead, and instead we got the free kick, and we're lucky James saved us. That was a terrible game from a refereeing perspective, and I'm with you. Games like this, I don't want to be reliant on the referee. No. However, the ref was also garbage, and he does deserve his fair credit for being absolutely garbage at his job, so it's worth bringing up.
He didn't have any control of the game. That's what I noticed. I remember there was a foul that Oh no, or a free kick or something that we. Oh, João Felix tried to run through a couple of players in his own half, and the referee gave a free kick when he got past him. I thought, what are you doing? He just got past him.
It back.
Yeah. And then everyone's having a go at him, and then there's a soft foul, and it's not even a foul at all, but he blows it. It's like a pity.
Yeah, I think it was tossing.
And I just think to myself, fair enough. All right, you've kind of made up for your mistake, but you don't really know what you're doing. And I don't think this guy's... Has he ever refereed Chelsea before? Or?
I've got no idea.
I've never heard of him.
I don't tend to pay too much attention
to
the
check if it's Anthony Taylor or not.
Yeah.
If he's got any hair, then it's fair enough. That's the result in itself. But yeah, they're getting worse.
Trash, water's wet, London is blue. Ultimately,
it should have been a red card. But again, we should have taken our chances, and that decision's irrelevant. But it is worth highlighting that there are there's a list, by the way. Let me bring this list up because someone's list for.
The last 5 games, because we've had some bad. Yeah,
decisions. someone's list. I think it was someone's listed. I
think I can just remember it. Like there's the Delap pen.
Yep.
I don't really recall anything in the Fulham game.
Yeah, this is it
Everton,
here.
Pickford on Gusto.
Yep. So we got the Delap dive versus Ipswich. No red card for the tackle on Palmer against Leicester. Remember that? Ridiculous.
Yes.
Yep. Referee stopped an advantage versus Palace. I don't remember that, but apparently there was an advantage stop. The Pickford tackle on Gusto. The pen overturned against Newcastle when it was called as a referee's call.
The Palace pen overturned.
Yeah.
On there too.
Oh yeah. Sancho versus Liverpool. I think that was a Trent foul in the box when a very similar one was given against Colwell. A record yellow cards versus Bournemouth in that Anthony Taylor game. Yeah, so there we go.
There's a lot of fouls, basically, and a lot of bad decisions. But, I mean, if I'm honest, I don't want to use that excuse, but it probably happens to every team. I mean...
Yeah, that's why I try not to, think too much into it unless it's, like a Tom Henning of Rabo level madness.
Just quickly on this...
like the Barca game in 09.
The disgrace.
Something like
that. Just on the Chalobah thing, by the way, apparently it's understood Eghbali personally called him and told him he wanted him back and expects him to play.
Oh, fuck off.
Wait, who reported that?
Well, it's Alex Crook, who's the chief correspondent at TalkSport. Apparently Eghbali personally called Chalobah told him to come back and he expects to play. So... There we go.
Do you want to do?
Chalobah's gonna have the most smug grin walking back into Cobham, and
Do you want to do a little skit, guys, before we finish it off?
What? I'm not very good at what?
A little Eghbali Chalobah skit. Not little
really.
Phone call skit.
Not really. It's not really. You do both. You do them both.
I can't do them both.
You can, mate. You do them both.
I'll do Chalobah.
All right, you do Chalobah, mate. Right, you be Eghbali.
I'm not gonna wear the snood.
What the fuck are you doing?
Hey, Trevor, my man. How's it going?
What do you want?
Long time. We were just wondering how's everything in Crystal Palace.
Well, I got a match day today, so can we make this quick?
Well, I don't think you're going to be playing in the match because we want you back at the bridge.
Oh, what have you found? Are you selling me or something or what?
No. Look. Tired of me. We've had a few disagreements. I've always thought you're an integral part of our plans. We want you back, Trav. We want you back.
You left me to train with Chilwell and Sterling. Before I wanted. But you sent me to Palace. Well, what's the game plan here?
It's all part of the plan. Trust the process.
Okay, well, my process is going to come with some terms. So.
I can't. I was like, what the fuck
can't make that anymore, yeah.
I was going to say, I'm going to need my parking spot moved somewhere a bit closer.
And his squad number back as well.
Yeah, the armband. I need the armband too. Yeah. There's a little bit of a dent in my old locker. I'm going to need that redone. I'm also going to need a bonus appearance fee. You gave that to Aubameyang. I want that for myself.
Fair.
Also, finest prozzies in West London. I also say I wanted a pay increase.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, let's round out
on that note. Yeah.
Before you finish the video, make sure you check out Stocks FC, the sponsors, guys. You can buy your favourite footballers as if they were stocks. There's a QR code on screen, as well as a link in the description. Prove your ball knowledge. by buying your favourite players. All the best, and we will catch up.
One more update. The expectation remains Chalobah leaves in the summer, but him and the club realise they can help each other in the meantime.
As long as he gets his parking spot.
And his squad number back.
And the baddest Latinas in West.
Let's go. All right, let's wrap it up. Thanks, guys.